Hello! Making wilderness travel more realistic in the OSR. Ah, man. Okay. Went to the Kisatchie, which is uh, a hilly area. It's not a mountain, but I mean, in Louisiana, it was the best we had. So it is fantastic. Anyway, after walking in the wilderness, was very inspired about wilderness travel. One thing people need to do is get off your ass. Go walk in the wilderness for inspirational walks to see what it would be like if you were actually traveling in a monster-filled wilderness. Listen, making the wilderness survival a simulation where you're tracking your torches and your supplies and stuff is way more fun than hand wave BS of like you just travel. You know, uh, long ago in the past, when there were very little rules for such things, some of the most exciting adventures were when we were camping either in cave systems on a little cliff. That's one of my favorite memories from back in the day, or in the wilderness, and having the watches set up. But remember, in the wilderness, always travel with a larger party. More victims before they can get to you. No, have a few NPCs there as victims for extras for the fear factor. And let me explain this. You want to have some extra NPCs that just maybe decided to follow you. They have a name and that's about it because they are there to like be victims. So these NPCs, I mean, you can kill some of your good ones, but these just ones with name only, uh, have some of them disappear at night, or go around a corner and they're just gone, and like no explanation. Um, Hopefully they weren't the one carrying the water or the food, though. But also when you're walking in the wilderness, sure footing. Make sure you're not, there's hazards where you could fall off of stuff or fall down. Track water and food and things of the sort. Uh, my last little trip to the wilderness, if we wouldn't have had water, we'd have been in some trouble because there's no water on these sites. Vault toilets and no running water. So bring your own. Let's make sure that when you're doing a wilderness adventure, track supplies. Remember, supplies can get ruined if it rains on certain things like bread or things, or you fall into water. Your supplies can get ruined, and then you don't have any food. Things are getting desperate. Remember, daylight and darkness. You know, in fantasy worlds, there could be some bad things in the daylight, but in the dark especially. Also remember getting lost in things of the sort. High point views and vistas. So if you get to a high point, you can see far, you can kind of get an idea. But remember, when you're going to low points, you have confusion, you can get lost. If there's no actual trail and you're making your own, that can be quite difficult. Remember, natural hazards as nature is a monster. So remember, nature is a monster. It will, wipe you out, kill you. If you've ever been through a hurricane, you'll find out. Just remember, like in the wilderness, there could be chasms, however you want to say it. I'm Louisiana. We're number 67 in the nation in education, so hey, I may not be saying it right. Lava, quicksand, falling rocks, flash floods. I mean, we see flash floods quite often. Storms, all kinds of stuff can happen. But one of the worst things that happen that eats up supplies is being lost. I actually got lost with a vista and everything. The trails and such were quite deceptive. Of course, I kept calm and I was wearing shorts and hiking boots, and I found out how bad, these weren't sticker bushes, they were just brambles and such, and I was quite scratched up, thinking I'm going to take a shortcut, and the trail did not go the way I thought at all. And with two high points in my vision, I still couldn't find the trail until about 30 minutes later, so it was quite alarming, remember that waterways are hard to cross or you can't cross them. Also, in fantasy worlds, they could be full of primordial fish and things. I mean, could be some freshwater bog octopuses or something like that, or some kind of fish with teeth, or weird water spirits, scrag water trolls. Oh my god, those terrify me. Also remember the weather. It could be a nice warm day and the temperature could drop. Could start raining and then suddenly you got the flash flood problems, lightning, things of the sort. And then remember the beast of the woods. It doesn't always have to be a fantastical monster. It could be a giant boar or something, some primordial boar that lurks in the forest. But they're also monsters and things. Also, with like for instance the Back to the Dungeon rules, you could just make monsters up on the spot. Make monsters that they don't even know what the hell they are. Some kind of predator animal or something, Just make some stuff up. Also, the implied setting of most OSR games, and especially Back to the Dungeon, is ruins. Add ruins everywhere. Ruins from the world that fell, So you're in a trail in the middle of nowhere, and then bam, there's suddenly the foundation of a building. They don't always have to be a dungeon, but really cool things like have weird statues that are like halfway tipped over. In some cases, they'll be perfectly preserved areas like shrines and things of the sort. But make stuff cool like that. Actually, sometimes make mega structures that are just they don't really serve any purpose. They wouldn't make a dungeon, but they're just out there in the middle of nowhere. Giving hints that there was once a great ancient world. Forlorn, abandoned structures with hints of their past. Go and make it creepy and sad. You could actually have some villages that maybe a few years ago a plague happened, orcs came, beast killed them, and there's like remnants of these people's lives there. Go and make it creepy and sad. Definitely do that. Have like little letters that, with the daughter had wrote the little poster, Dad, I love you, and then there's her toys and stuff and a plate of food on the table, and maybe you find their bodies, but normally there's just hints that people were there, but never any bodies. Necromancers maybe, but anyway. Also, one of the coolest things to find in the middle of nowhere is old graveyards, crypts, and burrows, because that's where the undead are. So wilderness doesn't always just have to be wilderness. There's remnants of civilization, old graveyards, crypts, abandoned structures, abandoned villages, things like that. Plus, it makes the world more realistic. Also, on a well-traveled road and a slightly traveled road, have bodies everywhere. Like, something happened to these people. Something killed them, Once in a while, you'll see some fellow travelers. Hello, well met, And that'll be a very nerve-wracking thing, because that could be bandits and such. But, just don't have these victims and bodies that you find some sort of melee violence, but other beasts and hazards, but sometimes just have really weird stuff, like, has happened. Their death was mysterious. You can't figure out what killed them, or if whatever killed them was something huge, So anyway, just a little few ideas for making wilderness travel more realistic in the OSR. Have a good time.